Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Apologies for still sounding very sniffly. We're going to break down what's next for the Dallas Cowboys after a rash of moves were made by the Dallas Cowboys on Tuesday. To recap those briefly here, they've re-signed Oso Odighizuwa. That was the big one. And it was, you re-signed TJ Goodwin, okay. You restructured CeeDee Lamb. That was a free square this offseason. Other free squares of re-signing Brock Hoffman and Wanye Thomas, both of whom were exclusive rights free agents. And the next expected move, whether it comes today, tomorrow, Sunday, Friday, whenever, is the restructuring of Dak Prescott. Now, that will free up around $37 million. Sometimes they round down a little bit. That's fine with me. For the record, much like CeeDee Lamb, this is a team move. This is the team doing it. The contract is built to be restructured. It was signed this way. It is not the player taking less money. I've seen there's always confusion on that. I get it. This is just an accounting tool that all teams do to have more money to spend. It's frankly a no-brainer. It has to be done. I'll give them credit, I guess, but it'd actually be a huge concern if they didn't do that. We will have more Cowboys videos for you all free agency long. Going to be a lot of coverage here on the channel. We're still trying to gain ground on the Commanders Report. We have gained some ground. Let's keep that going. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/CowboysTV. One of the big NFL moves made yesterday that I was going to discuss then, but there were Cowboys-specific news items we had to get to, was the release of Davante Adams. Now, this should not have been a surprise to anybody. He had a massive contract that was like $36 million or something in terms of cash getting paid, and no one was going to pay him that because why would they for 1 year? So he's going to be released, and he is still a good, solid, reliable football player. He is still someone that can contribute and be a really good number two, if not a low-end number one wide receiver. So if you have interest in Davante Adams, I would say get in line a little bit. But also, yeah, you're right. You should have interest in Davante Adams. Now, as it relates to the Cowboys, we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to reunite with Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers because that's something he always likes to do. There's been multiple reports now that the West Coast is a place he wants to play, and he's went to Fresno State, which would open up like the Rams as a potential destination, the 49ers with the trade of Deebo Samuel. And in the end, even though I want the Cowboys to do more stuff, I could still see Davante Adams getting $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20 million per year on a 2 or 3 year contract. That's probably more than the Cowboys want to, and I think you could argue should pay a number 2 wideout with the way their roster is currently constructed. With that said, a smart NFL team at least calls. They say, hey, Davante, how much do you want? Do you want to come play the Cowboys? Blah, blah, blah. That is what a good team would do. But I will keep my hopes low. I want to add more talent. They have the funds. I want this to be a more engaging free agency cycle, but my hopes will stay low here. So would you sign Davante Adams? S for sign, P for pass. Let's say it's $18 million. Just a made-up number. S for sign, P for pass. Go vote at the pinned comment of today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Now, the next big move the Cowboys should make is paying Micah Parsons. If the Cowboys are smart, if they are truly committed to being the best team possible, they will work hard to lock up Micah Parsons over the next week-ish. You've got until, really, I guess, Wednesday as the new league year starts. You can free up to $18 million by doing that. Now, my actual guess is that it's not really $18 million. Given the likely size of the signing bonus involved, it's probably going to be more than $18 million, which means you can't free up all of that, or more than the 24 he's counting on the cap right now. So maybe it's like 16, 13, 15, somewhere in that range. Either way, that's a lot of money you're saving in 1 year to pay Micah Parsons. And getting to $70+ million in salary cap space is extremely doable. And that allows you to re-sign Jourdan Lewis, re-sign Rico Dowdle, go add a linebacker, go add another defensive lineman, go add a vet corner, go add a receiver, go add an offensive lineman. All the stuff we'll talk about here today and tomorrow and the next 5 days, that's all doable for the Cowboys. And that comes at making Micah Parsons the highest paid non-QB in NFL history. Whatever it's 35.5, 36, 37, 38, whatever, doesn't even really matter. You could get to the APY and still save money in the short term. So will the Cowboys actually pay Micah Parsons before free agency? Y for yes, N for no? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I will continue to call the Cowboys out for not spending money, and my hopes still remain on the lower end of this one. Because it would be a nice surprise given the Cowboys' history of big extensions. But I hope it happens. I would love to have this squared away, locked away. I don't have to do nonsense, team wants to trade for Micah Parsons story 8 times in June and July and August. I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with Micah skipped the voluntary stuff, which he always skips anyway, but now it's different because of an extension. Like, that's what I'm worried about there. Here's my mindset. Cowboys have paid Osa. They've paid Dak Prescott. They have paid CeeDee Lamb. Make Micah Parsons next and actually go for it in this window. You've got your franchise quarterback locked up for 4 years. Yeah, he's expensive. The cap keeps going up. It is not an inhibitor to you adding talent and trying to make a run. Even if it doesn't work, I would like to try to make a run and win games, as opposed to just try to aim for a 10 or 11 win season and make the playoffs, because we know exactly how that ends. The Cowboys need to take a chance on something sometime. They can't just try to aim for above average, because then that sets their ceiling. Look, the bar is low after last offseason. It is already off to a better start. It really couldn't start any worse, I feel like, but there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done for this offseason to be viewed as a success. Like, doing better is not what I'm aiming for. I want to do well overall, not just well relative to a crappy offseason last year. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You simply pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is available in more than 30 states, including California, Georgia, Florida, and, of course, Texas. I always advise the flex play when possible. Prize Picks invented the flex play, by the way. You can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Here's some football season-long Prize Picks slates. Jared Goff, less than passing yards, over 4,200 plus. Travis Kelce, less than receiving yards. And Jaden Daniels, less than rushing yards. That Daniels line is very high for me. So go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. I want to run through a couple different internal free agents now. First up is Jourdan Lewis. First off, I think I misquoted Nick Harris. No offer made to Jourdan Lewis. I don't remember what I actually put in the video, so ball up top, hand on me. If that's the case, I apologize. But I do think, and I know Nick said this too, the Cowboys would really like to re-sign Jourdan Lewis. And I would bet they'd like to get that done before or early in free agency, much like they kind of did last year where they were able to bring back Lewis. I think the last really 18 games, kind of down the stretch in 2023 and almost all of 2024, really impressive stuff. And I want him back as my nickel. I think he fits what Matt Eberflus wants to do. I think he is a leader. He's got that dog in him, and I need more dogs on this team anyway. Trayvon Diggs' year 1 or 2025 status is uncertain with the injury, not to mention the rumors, I'll call them, of a potential move on. Deron Bland is back, but he's got 1 year left on his deal. Jourdan Lewis, you bring him back, you feel better about that cornerback room, even if you still need help, since, after all, C.J. Goodwin is a special teamer. I also think the Cowboys would like to keep Rico Dowdle, as you kind of run through some tidbits picked up from the Combine here. But I do think, much like Tony Pollard, who they would like to have re-signed last year, it's at the right price. Now, I also feel confident saying Rico Dowdle will not command the same contract that Tony Pollard commanded relative to the salary cap last year. But I am curious what Dowdle's market ends up looking like. He was pretty effective and efficient in the back half of the season. But I don't think Dallas views him as a guy they necessarily want to give 250 carries to in a season. I think they want another young back as well. and they think they want to run the ball well or more, and at least run it more when they're dared to. Either way, even if Rico's back, I still think the Cowboys draft a back early. And if they don't retain Rico, then they'll obviously draft a back early. I think round 2 stands out as a potential range for the Cowboys to consider that with or without Rico Dowdle. Of these 2 players, who is more important for you to keep on the team? JL for Jourdan Lewis, RD for Rico Dowdle. Let me know in the comments of today's show. I also think that Chauncey Golston will be playing elsewhere this upcoming offseason. Maybe the market isn't as strong as I think it could end up being, but I would not be shocked at all if after a very far and away career year from Chauncey Golston, and I think at times an underrated year kind of doing some good base defensive end stuff, if Golston gets a bigger contract offer from somebody else. Maybe that's the same extent as the Dorrance Armstrong contract, but maybe he gets something sizable too. And you go, wow, that's a lot of money. That's okay. And in theory, the return of Marshawn Nealon can help kind of set that base defensive end role opposite Micah Parsons. You need your second-round pick last year to make an impact in 2025. Then there's Demarcus Lawrence. And I think Tank Lawrence will test free agency. And then I'm very curious to see what ends up happening. I know that Tank's agent has a number in mind, and it's similar agents to some of the Cowboys guys, Jay Lou, I think Rico too, David Cancer. I think that Tank Lawrence is still a very good football player. And in a bubble, I would love to have him back. I think that the Cowboys' number in mind is higher than what Tank Lawrence is looking for, and his agent in particular is searching for. And he was off to an awesome start last year until he got hurt and never returned. And I think the medical makes that a bit of an unknown, a question mark, and does open the door for Demarcus Lawrence to test free agency. Maybe he gets the offer he wants. Maybe he doesn't. And if he doesn't, maybe he's back on a cheaper than expected 1-year deal.